Okay, picture this. You're making some lemon water, right? You squeeze the lemon, get all that nice juice.
That refreshing taste.
Exactly. And then you just, toss the rest, the peel, the white bit, everything.
Yeah, most people do.
Well, what if I told you you might be throwing out something like 5 times the nutritional punch?
That's exactly what some of the material we looked at suggests.
Yeah.
It's pretty surprising.
It really is. So that's what this deep dive is all about today, exploring the powerhouses hiding in the whole lemon, the parts we usually ignore.
Yeah, looking beyond just the juice, we want to figure out what makes that peel, the pith, that white layer, and even the seeds potentially so beneficial for your health.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Vitamin C. Everyone knows lemons, vitamin C.
Right, that's the classic association.
We know the juice has it, though maybe less in processed stuff unless they add it back. But the sources we've got paint a much bigger picture for the whole fresh fruit.
Absolutely. It's fascinating because vitamin C in nature, like in a whole lemon, isn't just one single thing, ascorbic acid. Yeah, way back, researchers kind of noticed that pure ascorbic acid didn't quite do the same job as, say, getting vitamin C from lemons or peppers,
Interesting.
which led them to identify this other factor. They called it vitamin P at the time.
Vitamin P? I think I've heard of that. But didn't that name kind of fall out of use? Our info says it's not really called that anymore.
That's right, yeah. The term vitamin usually means something you absolutely need to survive, even in tiny amounts.
Okay.
And while these compounds in vitamin P, which we now mostly understand as bioflavonoids, are super helpful, they don't quite fit that strict essential for life definition.
I see.
But their health role is still really significant. The P originally stood for permeability.
Permeability.
Right back.
Vascular permeability.
Exactly, vascular permeability.
Okay, break that down for us. What does that mean practically?
Okay, think of your smallest blood vessels, your capillaries, like tiny little hoses.
Right.
Permeability is about how well those hose walls keep the water, or blood in this case, inside without leaking.
Ah, okay. Leaky hoses are bad.
Definitely. And these bioflavonoids, which are really concentrated in the white pith and the peel of the lemon, they help kind of shore up those vessel walls, keep them strong, less leaky.
So when they do get too leaky, what happens?
Well, that can show up in a lot of ways. The
Does-
sources we looked at list quite a few common things, actually,
Yeah.
like bleeding gums or gingivitis.
Okay.
Even those little spider veins you might see, or varicose veins, hemorrhoids too.
Wow, okay. That's quite a range.
And things like bruising easily, getting nosebleeds, or even swelling like edema in your legs or ankles. It can all be related back to the integrity of those tiny vessels.
So these bioflavonoids, the stuff in the parts we check out, they're actually key for keeping our plumbing, our blood vessels working properly.
That's a good way to put it. And it's crucial to get that these bioflavonoids are part of the whole vitamin C package in the lemon. It's not just ascorbic acid flying solo.
Right, it's a team effort.
Exactly. There are other components involved too.
Like, the sources mentioned a J factor and copper.
Yeah, the J factor or vitamin J.
Yeah.
It's an older term, and honestly, the research is still developing there, but some early ideas suggested it might be involved in how our cells use oxygen.
Oxygen use. Interesting. Another layer.
Potentially, yeah. And then there's copper. Copper is part of an enzyme called tyrosinase.
Tyrosinase.
And that enzyme uses copper to help build collagen.
Collagen. Okay, everyone knows collagen. Skin, joints.
Right. So the whole lemon might support collagen formation
Yeah.
in ways beyond just, the basic vitamin C antioxidant effect.
Because it provides the copper needed for that specific enzyme.
Precisely. And the information also mentions vitamin K1 being part of this complex too.
K1 for blood clotting.
Yep, essential for proper clotting. So you see, it's this whole synergistic complex. And again, a lot of these key players are packed into the peel and the pith.
This is really changing how I see my lemon squeezer. Okay, let's focus a bit more on those bioflavonoids. You said they're in the white part and peel. Our sources specifically mention benefits related to diabetes. What's that connection?
Yes, this is really quite compelling. The information suggests that high blood sugar, like you see in diabetes, can actually damage those tiny capillaries we were just discussing.
How so?
Well, think about it. If those delicate vessels are constantly bathed in high levels of glucose, it can weaken their walls, make them more fragile, more leaky.
Okay, that makes sense. Chronic stress on the system.
Exactly. And this damage can lead to a whole host of complications, particularly nerve issues like peripheral neuropathy, the tingling or numbness in hands and feet,
Yeah, I heard of that.
and also various eye problems, things like diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, cataracts, even glaucoma, and dry eyes.
Wow. So all those different issues, they trace back to the small blood vessels being damaged by the diabetes.
That seems to be a major factor, yes.
Yeah.
Now, the citrus bioflavonoids, the kind found abundantly in the lemon peel and pith, show potential in helping to protect and strengthen those vulnerable capillaries.
By making them less leaky.
Essentially, yes. By reinforcing the structure of the capillary walls, they might help reduce the risk or severity of these kinds of diabetic complications.
That is a really strong reason to not throw those parts away. Okay, so we get the why. But the big question is how? How do you actually consume a whole lemon? It sounds intense.
It does sound a bit much, doesn't it? But the sources give a pretty clear method. They suggest blending one whole organic lemon.
Organic, okay. Makes sense if you're eating the peel.
Definitely. So one whole organic lemon, seeds and all, apparently with about 8 ounces, like a standard glass of water. Blend it for maybe 30 to 35 seconds.
Wait, seeds too. Are lemon seeds okay to eat? I thought some fruit seeds were bad.
That's a fair question. The info we reviewed suggests lemon and lime seeds are generally fine, unlike, say, apple seeds or cherry pits in large amounts, which have compounds you want to avoid.
Okay.
Lemon seeds have their own nutrients. But the sources do note some people might find they cause a little stomach upset, so if that's you or you're worried, just take them out. No big deal.
Good to know. So blend the whole thing, maybe minus seeds if you prefer. What's
Yeah.
the result like? The description was bitter, whitish drink. Doesn't sound super appealing.
Yeah. Points for honesty there. It will be bitter. That's from the compounds in the peel and pith that are actually good for you.
Good for you.
Well, the information points towards potential benefits for the liver, especially if you're dealing with something like fatty liver. That bitterness can stimulate beneficial processes. And maybe benefits for the skin, too.
Okay, so the bitterness has a purpose, but still.
Right, we need to make it drinkable. The sources offer a couple of good tips.
Please.
One is just adding a few drops, maybe 5 to 10, of liquid stevia. That can cut the bitterness without adding sugar.
Stevia, okay.
The other suggestion, which sounds quite nice actually, is to blend the whole lemon mixture with a cup of frozen blueberries.
Ooh, a whole lemon blueberry shake.
Exactly. That sounds much better, doesn't it? Add sweetness, flavor, plus all the goodness from the blueberries, too.
That actually sounds really good. Okay, so the key is don't be scared of the bitterness. Maybe embrace it a little, or just blend it with something tasty like blueberries, or sweeten it slightly.
Precisely. And the encouragement is to try doing this daily, to get those extra benefits you just don't get from regular lemon water.
Yeah, it's a completely different approach.
It really reframes the lemon. It's not just juice anymore. It's this whole nutritional package.
Okay, so let's recap quickly. By using the whole lemon, not just the juice, we could be getting maybe 5 times the nutrients.
Yeah, especially those important bioflavonoids.
Right, concentrated in the peel and the white pith. And these guys help our blood vessels stay strong, which could potentially lessen diabetic complications tied to capillary damage.
Things like eye problems and neuropathy.
Plus, we're getting a more complete vitamin C complex, potentially helping with collagen, maybe even how our body uses oxygen, thanks to things like copper and maybe that J factor.
And vitamin K1 for clotting, too.
Yeah, right. And the practical way to try this is blending a whole organic lemon, maybe removing seeds, with water. And if it's too bitter,
add a little liquid stevia, or, my favorite idea, blend it with frozen blueberries for a smoothie.
Perfect. That seems doable.
Yeah, and what's really interesting beyond just the lemon is this whole idea, how often do we just focus on one single nutrient?
Like just vitamin C or just calcium?
Exactly, we isolate things. But this lemon example really drives home that whole foods often have this amazing synergy, all these different compounds working together in ways we're still figuring out. It's more than just the sum of its parts.
That's a really great point. It makes you think, doesn't it? What else are we kind of partially using? Are there other fruits, vegetables where we're throwing away goodness without realizing?
But it definitely encourages a more holistic view of food.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, maybe give this whole lemon blend a shot. Try the blueberry smoothie version, perhaps. Experiment, see how you feel. It could be a surprisingly simple way to unlock some extra health perks hiding right there in your fruit bowl.